Limbic system, the system that is responsible for mood and emotion. Autonomic nervous system provides the major mechanism by which elements of mood and emotion are expressed by the body. Pleasurable feelings are associated with the activity in parasympathetic system, while feelings of anxiety are associated with activity in sympathetic system. Internal cues can also trigger autonomic reflexes, recalling past experiences that were particularly pleasurable or anxiety producing can cause strong parasympathetic and sympathetic responses. This diagram shows the neural circuit of mood that link emotional experience with emotional expression. So this is the medial view of the brain. Areas controlling the autonomic nervous system are shown in blue. There are two major input to autonomic nuclei present in the brainstem. These two major input includes amygdala, which is the central nucleus, and another is hypothalamus. A third originates from the visceral organs and taste receptors. This then project to the solitary nucleus and then finally to the brainstem. And from the brainstem, there is a sympathetic response to the via thoracic and upper lumbar segments, and parasympathetic response to the cranial nerves and sacral spinal nerves. So limbic lobe is not a true lobe. The main elements of limbic lobe includes cingulate cortex, which is also known as cingulum, and hippocampus. Cingulate cortex and then another is hippocampus. This forms a C-shaped structure that surrounds the rostral border of the brainstem. This limbic system is derived early in evolution, and its tissue is phylogenetically older than cerebral cortex. Limbic system was once called rhinencephalon or smell brains because it is involved in central processing of olfactory information. Papez circuit. It was explained by James Papez in 1937, which suggests that emotion is not a function of specific centers but involves circuit of four basic structures. These four basic structures are cingulate gyrus, hippocampus, hypothalamus, and then thalamus. In Papez circuit, fornix connects the hippocampus to mammillary bodies of hypothalamus, which in turn projects to anterior nuclei of thalamus. This thalamic nuclei in turn sends the fibers to the cingulate gyrus, which then completes the circuit by sending the fibers again then to hippocampus. Hypothalamus is the principal outlet for effects of limbic system. Through these interconnections, limbic system and hypothalamus appear to cooperate in the neural basis of emotional states. Let's talk about this Papez circuit. So Papez circuit represents an emotion system responsible for linking experience and expression of emotion. The proposed site for the emotional experience is the cingulate cortex, which receives the sensory information funneled directly through the thalamus and from different sensory areas in the cerebral cortex. The output of from the cingulate cortex is fed through the hippocampus to the hypothalamus via a band of fibers called pharynx. Now, hypothalamus translates expression of emotions through autonomic and other responses. Because the hypothalamus also projects to the back to anterior nuclei of thalamus via mammillothalamic tract, the expression of emotion through autonomic response could add an additional trigger or perhaps a positive feedback loop for the emotional experience. Amygdala. Amygdala is the center for emotional response and behavior. This is responsible for aggressive behavior. It has been demonstrated that in several animal species that bilateral ablation of amygdala reduces fear and decreases certain form of aggressions. This amygdala is an almond-shaped nucleus situated at anterior border of hippocampus within the temporal lobe. Amygdala receives the input from neocortex and all the sensory pathways. Amygdala in turn transmits signals back to these same cortical areas, back to hippocampus, back to septum, and then majorly into the hypothalamus. Two distinct types of aggressive behavior is shown by the animals. The first one is affective aggression, is expressed by assuming a threatening or defensive posture, as when a cat hisses and arches its back. The another behavior is predatory aggression. This involves attack against a member of different species for the purpose of obtaining food, as when a cat silently pounces on a mouse. In primates like human, amygdala, the basal lateral nuclei of amygdala, provides the excitatory inputs to medial hypothalamus, and it plays a major role in affective aggression. For example, for maintaining a position in social hierarchy. While amygdala corticomedial nuclei, these are inhibitory inputs to lateral hypothalamus and thus suppresses the predatory aggression. So in primates there is a suppression of the predatory aggression. So this picture shows rays that is associated with punishment center, and rays is due to the strong stimulation of lateral hypothalamus periventricular zone of hypothalamus. So in this the animal expresses defense posture, extend its claws, lifts its tails, hiss and growl. There's a piloerection, wide open eyes, and if the animal is provoked, then it can lead to the savage attack. So this is the rays associated with the punishment center. Reward and motivational behavior. Stimulation of different areas in brain produce either pleasurable, referring to rewarding, or unpleasant, which is aversive feeling. About 35% of the brain areas are rewarding, 5% is aversive, and 60% is neutral. This was conducted by self-stimulation studies in monkeys. Electrodes implanted in different areas of brain. An animal is allowed to deliver a current to the brain by the pressing bar. If the current gives animal a sense of reward, then it will press the lever again and again. So what are the brain areas that is responsible for the motivation and reward behavior? So this includes septal areas, lateral hypothalamus, another is ventral tegmental areas and dorsal pons, while medial forebrain bundle connects all these structures together. These pleasure centers may provide physiological basis for reinforcement of normal survival behaviors like eating, drinking, and sex, as well as for abnormal behavior, for example, use of addictive drugs. So there's a ventral tegmental area and nucleus accumbens, which is connected with the ventral tegmental area by medial forebrain bundles, and finally it is also the link is to the frontal cortex. So nucleus accumbens and vagal tegmental area are the primary sites where addictive drugs act, and this mediates the pleasure and rewarding experiences. Reward system mainly consists of dopaminergic pathways starting from ventral tegmental to nucleus accumbens. Thank you.